Bet horse racing on DRF Bets. We'll match your first deposit of $200. Get free expert picks and past performances, plus weekly cash back. All from Daily Racing Form, the most trusted name in horse racing.
Dan Illman, Mike Beer, kicking off an all-stakes pick four, 50-cent minimum wager at Keeneland on an all-star Saturday card. Race number 7 is the Grade 2 Thoroughbred Club of America. We're going 6 furlongs. This is a prep race for the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. Let's take a peek at this field. There are really no standouts in here, Mike. Slammed is the 3-1 morning line favorite, and Slammed has an enviable win record. She's won 8 of 11. She just missed to a very nice horse in Southern California in Edgeway, and you can argue she's still coming into her own.
Yeah, I think you could argue that. I sort of agree with you that there's no standout in here, but I do think that Slammed should be the favorite in here, and I do think she's the horse to beat, even if you're only basing that off of her 2 most recent starts, Dan, both at Del Mar. She ran really well in both of those.
So off the Timeform U.S. pace projector for this year's Thoroughbred Club of America, we're expecting a fast pace up front. Joyful Cadence, the number 8, has speed in spades. The 7 Slammed has Southern California zip. Palm Cottage went gate to wire in her last 2 races, so the pace should be honest at the very least.
Yeah, I think there could be some hitting in here. We'll see if it's going to be, to me anyway, it's going to be interesting to see, assuming that Slammed is going from the start of this race as she should be. It'll be interesting to see if Joyful Cadence can keep up with her, because I know Joyful Cadence wants to be forward. I don't know that she's as fast as Slammed, though.
Little Tootsie, the number 1, is going to hope for a fast pace up front as she cuts back from a couple of middle distance races. She blossomed when stretched out to a mile and in Kentucky earlier over the summer. Her last race, the Grade 3 Locust Grove, they tried to stretch her 2 turns. I think all in all, she ran well. She's better going shorter, especially if there's some pace in front of her.
Agreed. I like her cutting back for this race. I couldn't quite convince myself that I think she's necessarily good enough to beat this field, assuming everybody shows up, but she could get the right kind of trip in this race. Dan, I've always been a fan. I'd like to try to use her if I can at a price.
A filly that should be forwardly placed is the daughter of American Pharaoh, the number 2 Palm Cottage, who really could just never get to that next level for trainer Brad Cox. She went away for a while. She came back for Paulo Lobo. She is 2 for 2, and she's been flawless in 2022. 2 gate-to-wire performances, including this race, a second-level allowance at Saratoga, where she set the early pace, opened up on the turn, and just lasts at the wire. Very competitive Buyer speed figure, 97.
Her last 2 races are good. She was very impressive in her first start for Paulo Lobo off the layoff at Ellis Park, where they just basically couldn't get anywhere near her, and she was just ridden out. Works a lot harder in this race, but she did, sort of pick up that pace around the turn, Dan, just holds on at the end. I think she's got to take another step forward.
Club Car, the number 3, has finished second in 6 of her last 7 starts. It's been the story of her career. 13 times a bridesmaid, including in this race in 2021. But she was in against Bell's the One, and there may not be a horse the caliber of Bell's the One in the 2022 edition of the TCA. Last time out, they tried synthetic. It's probably not her best surface, but she showed up yet again.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, she's got a little bit of hang in her, I think. I think you can see that most clearly when you go and look at that race 2 starts back at Monmouth. Where she just had dead aim and looked like she was going by and then did not get by, missed a head bob at the end. She's good enough, though, to beat this field, Dan, if she can get the right kind of trip. And if Irad, who's taken over on Saturday, if he can time it right, I think she'll be there at the end of this race. She's good enough to beat this field.
I think the key to this race is whether trainer Al Stahl can get the 4 Carribean Caper back to her good 3-year-old form. She began her career, she won 5 consecutive races, including the Grade 3 Dogwood going 7/8, a race where she won as the odds-on favorite and sat a really nice trip just tracking a 3-ply duel. Then she went away, and it took her a long time to get back to the races. They found an interesting spot for her at Colonial last time out going 7/8, and she got cooked up on the pace. I think turning back to 6 will work for her. I think she has enough tactical speed, and I'm hoping she just needed that race, and it's not the fact that her ship has sailed.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's fair to look at her and say that she probably needed that race off the layup, especially the way that things played out there, Dan, where she just kept up close, got caught 4 wide, contesting the pace all the way around the turn, and she was still there in the late stages. She just got tired, and I think she had a right to get tired in there. She was really good as a 3-year-old. And it just, the more I look at the race, the more I feel like this is a great spot for her to come back and pick up a major graded stakes win.
Wisconsin, the number 5, is very, very honest. She has good tactical speed. She can sit just off of the pace. She seems to show up no matter the class. She is a graded stakes winner this year at this distance, winning the winning colors at Churchill Downs. And she's really done nothing wrong in her last few races other than win. It is interesting. Her last 3 races, though, a bit slow on the buyer scale. She hasn't cracked 90 in any of the 3.
Yeah, true enough. I hasn't run her fastest races recently against some, pretty good fields, though. Wired by Lady Rocket, finished behind Bell's the One in her last 2 starts. Bell's the One, kind of has her number these days, but Bell's the One is a very good filly and mare sprinter. When she won the winning colors off the layoff there, she beat a couple of these horses. She beat them very easily.
Liberty MD, the 6, got through a 3rd level allowance condition last time out at Churchill, going 7/8 of a mile. She looked good doing it. This is just a different story from a class standpoint. It's a big leap.
Yeah, it's just a huge step up in class for a filly whose only prior race against graded company came going long at Saratoga, and she got beat a million lengths.
Slammed the New Mexico bred, 8 for 11. Can she compete against good horses in Southern California? That was the question they asked about this New Mexico bred. She won her first start at Del Mar by the length of the stretch, and then she ran in the Grade 3 Rancho Bernardo last time out, where she battled it out in between horses on the backstretch and takes a strong challenge from Edgeway, who was a major contender in last year's Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. Slam fights hard all the way to the wire, drops a heartbreaker, and now turns back in distance, and she'll be fine at 6.
Yeah, she's run really well in her last 2 starts. The fast allowance win off the bit of a layoff there was really impressive. She was good last time. Edgeway, she's no superstar, but she is rock solid. And Slam gave her everything she wanted through the stretch of the Rancho Bernardo. I think she's the horse to beat in here.
Joyful Cadence went to the front last time out in the open mine. She opened up a clear early lead, went a little bit fast in order to do so. And Bell's the One, who's one of the classiest late-running filly and mare sprinters around, ran her over in the stretch. It was a good performance for Joyful Cadence, who must deal with other speeds to her inside and here.
True enough. Listen, like a lot like Sconson, her last 3 races come in a little bit light on the buyer scale. We'll see if she can get the trip that she prefers in this race up on the lead. Dan, going back to that winning colors, I just didn't necessarily love that performance. I thought she had control of that race, had every chance to win it, and Sconson was way better than she was.
Happy Soul, the number 9, began her career like she was going to be something special for trainer Wesley Ward, a precocious and fast 2-year-old. After she won the Astoria, though, she got sick, severely ill, went to the sidelines for a long time. And while she did come back and win her seasonal debut, it just didn't seem like she was the same in that race. And she hasn't been the same since. Good performance last time out on turf. Maybe it wakes her up a bit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if switching from turf to dirt actually wakes her up a little bit. It feels like she should still have forward to go. She was so good at 2. She just hasn't taken that step forward yet.
Really fun race, the TCA, kicking off an all-stakes pick 4. Let's take a look at our top selections for race number 7 at Keeneland on Saturday. Mike, you're going with Club Car. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride, except for Saturday, you're saying.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that the switch to IRAD will give this horse her best chance to win. Again, I really feel like you got to time it right with her, Dan. She's got a little bit of hang in her, but if you can time it right, I think she can go with these horses.
I'm curious to see if the Two-Palm Cottage can sit just a bit. She did so for Cox, but ever since she's come back for these connections, Palo Lobo, she's been up front. Caribbean Caper, to me, I want to give her one more chance. Second off the layoff, she was pretty impressive as a 3-year-old filly. I'll give Al Stahl the benefit of the doubt. He's such a good trainer. 3-4-7-1 for Mike, 4-2-7-9 for me. It's the Thoroughbred Club of America. Important prep for the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint at Keeneland. Good luck.